All right. Hi, everybody. Thanks for having me here today. This is definitely my kind of music as well, so it gets me pumping a little bit more. So yeah, today we're going to talk about growth marketing and specifically experimentation in growth marketing. So it's definitely not rocket science, so I'm going to be sharing with you a 5-step process to basically get the ball rolling, as we say. So these are the 5 learning goals that I'm going to take you through in 20 minutes. So hopefully I won't be talking too fast, but we have a lot to talk about. So yeah, kind of buckle up. The first part is understanding why experimentation is important in growth marketing. I won't spend a lot of time on that. You're here because you kind of understand why experimentation in growth marketing is important. But to give you a couple of stats, ad spend is increasing everywhere in the world. Competition is getting fiercer and fiercer, or more fierce, and it's getting really tough to kind of stand out from the competition. And when we look at this kind of stats, we also can see the effects of it with customer acquisition cost increasing a lot as well. So performance marketing and just having a big budget is not enough anymore. So we need to kind of think a little bit outside of the box and see what we can do to mitigate that competition. So what we can do is learn from the big boys, the people or the companies that is actually really working well for them. And what we can learn from these amazing companies is that they run thousands and thousands of experiments per day, per week, per month, per year. They never stop. A lot of them don't work, but it doesn't really matter because they learn from them. And this is a big, big part of having a growth mindset. So keep that in mind as we look into a successful experimentation process. So how does it look like? Basically, it depends on 3 aspects. The number of experiments that you run, because the more experiments you run, the more quality experiments you run, the more you learn from those experiments. Second of all, we have the success rate of your experiments. Now, of course, a lot of those experiments will fail, but it's important also to look at what worked and what didn't. And so we can do more of what worked and less of what doesn't. And the impact that these experiments have. Now, when we talk about impact, this is where data comes in, and it's also very, very important that we keep that in mind. And we keep in mind also the one metric that matters the most for that specific experiment. I'll get back to that as we go through the slides. But I'm really sorry to tell you that there's no hacking in experimentation or in growth marketing. I know growth hacking is a very popular term, but it doesn't really work that way. So it will go wrong, it will take time. There's really no magic formula. So if you look at the guy on the motorcycle, the poor guy, sorry about the quality of the GIF, but it's really funny. So the more experiments you run, sometimes you'll feel like you really want to jump into that hole and stop experimenting, but it shouldn't be the case. You should basically just keep on keeping on. So to give you a bit of some stats also behind that, this is a visual representation of the aggregated number of experiments of the businesses, so teams and individuals that we've trained at Growth Tribe for the past 9 years. And if we look at it, it's in regards with the return on investment of those experiments. So when we start here, the number of experiments are still growing. You can see that the impact or return on investment of those experiments is kind of shy, whether it's a failed experiment or a really successful experiment. But as these teams go on experimenting, you can see that they're getting better at this. And also at some point they will reach a win or a very successful experiment that will give them the growth that they want. But the most important thing that you should get out of this visual is the increasingly strong compound growth that they get at the end of the day. So it doesn't matter, the success rate of course matters, but what mattered most is that they kept on going, learning from the failed experiments and the successful one, and so they can get the growth that they want at the end of the day. So when we talk about experimenting, we have so many ideas that we want to run, and sometimes we want to run all of them at the same time. But it's important to kind of group those ideas into focus areas. So a lot of the time we'll have ideas that we call big projects. So these are ideas that take a lot of effort, but also have a high impact. When we are looking to experiment, we always want an experiment or an idea that will have a high impact on that one metric that matters the most. I'll get back to it. But we also have high effort, low impact. We don't want to look at those. We have low effort, low impact. Sometimes we call them fill-in jobs. We also don't want to look at those. The quick wins with the high impact and the low effort are part of the main focus area that we want to focus on whenever we're starting with experimentation, especially if it's a new idea, it's a new product, it's a new service, whatever it is. We want the quick wins that won't take a lot of effort from us, and not in a lazy way, but in a smart way, but also still deliver that high impact that we're looking for. So, why do we need to validate? Because it's impossible to predict how people will react in a fast-changing world, and I'm sure everyone here agrees that it's definitely a fast-changing world now, and it's probably getting faster. And we need to test in order to increase efficiency and minimize risk. Minimizing risk is a keyword here that we should have probably highlighted in this slide as well, but it's definitely a big, big keyword, because experimenting will help you mitigate that risk and start experimenting and get that ball rolling, as we say. So, Netflix and Spotify in 2022 decided to go into a partnership together because they saw that Spotify listeners had created more than 22,500 unique playlists from the songs that they got from Squid Games. You guys remember Squid Games, right? So a very popular series on Netflix. So when Netflix and Spotify saw that number, they were like, you know what, this is a great indicator, data-informed indicator, that we should probably go into a partnership together and create those lists for the high demand that we're getting. And they did that. So now let's learn how to gather ideas by tapping into the fundamentals. So this was a good example to move into this section. This is the growth process. It's the experimentation process that we rely on. It's a 5-step process for every single experiment that we want to run. Yes, every single one. So sometimes it gets a little bit boring, but now with AI, it's getting a lot. It's helping a lot with more automation, so automated tasks. And I can't go through this right now with the amount of time that I have. So if you want to see, or if you want to chat about how I'm doing it with AI, so please chat with me later or find me on LinkedIn, and I'm happy to talk to you about it. So this is again a 5-step process. We have to, whenever we want to look into experimenting, we start by gathering ideas. Then we can't run them all together at the same time, so we have to rank them after to prioritize and see which ones are most important for us to run right now. After we picked the highest ranked idea, we outline the experiment, which is probably one of the most important parts or steps of the process, because this is where you jot down all the details of the process itself. And then step number 4, we do the work, we actually implement the experiment. Step number 5 is that we study the data. But actually, step number 5 is step number 1. So we always have to look into the data that we have first, and then see, based on that, inform ourselves and move into the ideation process. All of our ideas should be backed by data. So it doesn't have to be totally based on data, but it has to be backed by data. And this is what we call data-informed decisions. So let's say this is the funnel, the pirate funnel, or the customer journey. There are some different representations. Some of you might have seen the customer journey in different names, but it doesn't really matter at this point. So at every single stage of the customer journey, there is one metric that matters the most for our customers, for our potential customers or users. So if I want to impact the awareness stage for my persona, and the OMTM for me that I've decided is the unique page visits that I get on my landing page or website, then these are some good ideas that I can come up with. Shorten URLs, target a new country, post 3 blogs per week. So it's based on that metric that I want to impact. If it's the retention stage, for example, and I want to increase the number of renewed subscriptions per year per customer, then these could be some ideas as well, like personalizing a welcome email, feature onboarding, and celebrate milestones. We see Duolingo do that a lot with celebrating milestones. So gathering ideas, how do we actually do it? One really important part that works for me specifically is to stay up to date. There's a lot of things changing in the world, especially in the marketing industry, especially right now with the emergence of generative AI, so we really have to stay up to date. Those two areas are my favorite. You don't have to do the same, but it's just an example. So Stacked Marketer is a beautiful newsletter that I read on a daily basis to see what is happening in the industry. And Feedly is a great aggregator of my favorite websites. So whenever there's a new update, I get notified as well. You don't have to try these, but look for something or a specific channel that really works for you as well. So now we've gone through the importance. We've also figured out how to gather ideas. Now, when we have those ideas, we actually need to rank them. So if you have a lot of ideas, we cannot, again, run them all at the same time. So how do we rank them? We use two frameworks, the brass and the pies. They are related to the awareness stage of the funnel and every other stage of the funnel. So the brass is for awareness, and the pies is for all other stages of the funnel. I will quickly explain to you what that means and why. So let's say I have an idea at the awareness stage of the funnel, to create some personalized ads so I can attract new customers or newcomers to my website. The way I rank it is through the brass framework. So it's an acronym, of course, and B is for blink. So it's all about the 5-second rule. It's all about the gut feeling. Now, you might be telling me that gut feeling has nothing to do with data or data informed or anything based on data. This is actually true, but your experience is also part of the data that you have. So if you've been at a specific role for 1 or 2 years and you know if an experiment, or you have some intuition on if an experiment would work or not, then you should definitely use that. So you rank it based on your feeling, the first factor. You rank it from 1 to 5, 5 with being the highest probability of that experiment to work. Next is R, and R is for relevance. When we talk about awareness, especially when we talk about awareness channels and how to bring users to our website, relevance is very important, because we have to think, how relevant is this channel to my persona? How relevant is this channel to my target audience? If it's relevant, then of course it's a 5, 4, and if it's not, it's a 1 or 2. Next we have availability, and this is based on the availability of resources. Can you actually run this experiment? Do you have the budget if it's needed? Do you have the time? Do you have the skills? Do you have the tools? Do you need to learn how to use the tools? I'm not trying to complicate things. It's just about if you can actually do it or not, and then think about an alternative or not. Again, rank it from 1 to 5, and the difference between the brass and the pies is scalability. So awareness is the top of the funnel. There is no stage above that, which means that it's easier to scale. So if you're looking at a funnel, actually, you can always add more to it if it's available, if you have the availability, of course. So how scalable is this channel? If it's, for example, running a campaign on Meta ads, if you have the budget, it's totally scalable. So you rank it as a 5. If you don't, then maybe it's a 2 or a 3. And the last S is for score, and the score is multiplied, not added, because if you have so many ideas that you're trying to rank, what happens is that the difference won't be very significant between those ideas. But when you multiply, the difference becomes a little bit more significant, so you can make a better decision. Now, the pies is very similar, so I'm going to also take you through it. Let's say I have an idea at the acquisition stage of the funnel to improve attention ratio. So P is probability, which is similar to blink. Again, your gut feeling. Rank it from 1 to 5. Next is impact, and impact again is very important. You've probably noticed that I've been saying impact a lot. So it's a major keyword in experimentation and growth marketing. So how big of an impact will this idea have on the metric that I'm trying to improve? And next is ease, which is similar to effort with impact and effort. So ease basically is also similar to availability. So how easy is it for me to run this experiment or not? And the last S is for score, and you've probably noticed that pies has 3 factors, brass has 4. So you never compare brass experiments or ideas to pies, because brass will always win. So brass is always for awareness, and pies is for the rest of the funnel. This is a cheat sheet for you if you want to quickly take a quick pick. And All right, sorry guys. I really have to go through. All right, so now we have gathered ideas, ranked them, and we have, let's say we have our top idea. It's time for us to design the experiment. So how do we actually do that? Sylvester can definitely help us, but what we need to do is jot down all the details of the experiment. So this is the experiment design canvas. It doesn't have to look that way. You can take the aspects, the main factors, and then design it in your own way. But the main factors that I want you to focus on are the hypothesis. So we believe that by doing X, we will achieve Y. Second, to verify this, we will, and this includes the details of the experiment and how you're going to verify it. Next, what are you going to measure? Quantitatively and qualitatively, both of them super important. And if you ask me personally, I think qualitative data is a little bit more important than quantitative, especially these days. And we are right if this is where you set your quantitative goal. So it's very important to set a quantitative goal. And on the right-hand side, you can always add a little bit of details as well, the start, the end date, tools needed, relevant links, estimated costs. So to explain every step quickly, for the hypothesis, it's very important to know what this hypothesis is impacting at what stage of the funnel. So if it's a marketing campaign, it's at the awareness stage. If it's the redesign of a page, at the acquisition stage. If you want to create a referral program, it's at the referral stage. So do mention that. It would be great. Next, a good hypothesis is verifiable, precise, and unique. You don't have to really memorize this. You can always think of a SMART goal as a way to mitigate this. And some differences between a bad and good hypothesis. I'm just going to go through one really quickly. So a bad hypothesis is when you say if we create a referral program and it will increase referrals. So this doesn't really give any details, doesn't really tell us anything about it. But a good hypothesis based on the same experiment idea can be by offering money-based incentives to our most frequent users, we can increase our referral rate. Basically, what we're trying to say here is that be as detailed as possible. So when you're designing an experiment, think in a way where if someone outside of your team or doesn't really know what you're trying to do is reading your design, they need to clearly understand everything. Next, the verification process. So has three main factors, the who, the how, and the where. Who, we'll start with the how. So how are you going to run this experiment? What kind of tools are you going to use? Next, the who, which is the target audience. Who is the audience that is going to help me run this experiment? And the where am I going to run it? I'll give you a quick example on that in a second, which is now. So one example is create a referral program on the website and see if we are right. This has no detail whatsoever. Compared to create a referral program using viral loops, which is a tool, and promote it on the website and then see if we get 75 plus visitors to enter the program. In this case, we have the how, which is create a referral program using viral loops. Then we have promote it on the website, which is the where, and then see if we get 75 visitors to enter the program, which is the who, which is a great band as well. So, and measure quantitative and qualitative. So when you want to measure, please consider qualitative data as well. But when we think about quantitative data, conversion rates, leading indicators, click-through rates, unique new users, anything with numbers. And the qualitative part, surveys, polls, user testings, heat maps, user recordings. Surveys are getting a lot more popular right now. And the we are right if, so when you want to set your goal, it's very important to have a quantitative goal. It's basically when you're running an experiment, let's say you're also running a marathon, and if you can't see the finish line, it's really tough for you to stay motivated and kind of cross that finish line. So your goal is your finish line. And by setting a quantitative goal, it becomes easier for you to know and study the data after and see if this worked or not. All right, so yeah, this is a cheat sheet also of the summary. All right, so last steps, executing the experiment and studying the data. I won't take long, I promise. So Step number 4 is actually implementing the experiment. We see a lot of individuals and teams, they go through the first 3 steps, they're fully motivated, they have amazing designs, but they're afraid of hitting that red button, which makes sense, fear of failure, also fear of success. We don't know what we don't know. But it's important to actually implement the experiment, otherwise it's all in vain. So there is no try, there is only do. One way that I can share with you is how we run experiments at Growth Tribe. 14-day sprints, as easy as that. And the most important part from that is logging in your calendars. So putting in the invites, knowing exactly who's doing what, not in a micromanaging way, but it's very important. So every second Monday we meet, we set experiments, and then 2 weeks after that we meet again, we share our learnings together, who ran which experiment, and what are the results of those experiments. So these are 365 days of the year. I'm actually not sure if they are 365 blocks, but it looks like it. So if you take out the weekends, you take out public holidays, paid vacations, sick days, and team events, you are left with 21.5 sprints. So 21 times 14 days per year, which you can benefit from to run all those experiments that you want to run. And last but not least, analyzing and studying the results. If you cannot track, you cannot improve. If you cannot study the results, you won't know what happened and why. So it's not important to just do the experience, it's also very important to reflect on the experience. So let's say this is your results sheet, and you have 21.5 sprints, so 21.5 times 14. And let's say you run 10 experiments every 2 weeks. And they don't have to be insane experiments. I'll share a quick couple of experiments with you at the end to show you some examples. And by the end of the year, if you have 30% success rate, you will have 65 successful experiments. And 65 successful experiments will definitely take you on the road to growth. At Growth Tribe, we have win and fail boards. We celebrate the wins. We also celebrate the fails. It's very important for us to jot down every single one. So after every 10 wins, we have a win party. After every 10 fails, we have a fail party. One story that we always share is once during our fail party, we ordered sushi, and we got food poisoned. And that was the first fail on the next fail board. Which accelerated growth as well. So we learned not to order that same sushi. And last but not least, playbooks, very important. Whenever you learn something new, write it down, step-by-step guide, share it with the team, share your learnings, and it will become easier as you go. I'm using playbooks with AI, specifically JTBD. I can definitely talk about this with you later if you find me and ask me about it. But yeah, it's really making my life a lot easier. Add this to your reading list. 1 more minute, I promise. Add this to your reading list. It's a great book with great testing business ideas. Do's and don'ts of experimentation. Kind of what I've been saying for the past 20 minutes. But take the time you need to trust the results. So take 2 weeks at least to run an experiment, because otherwise you won't really know if the numbers are lying to you or not. Consider the side effects, which could include user experience. When in doubt, go back to the fundamentals. So study the customer journey, study your persona, and become customer-centric. And don't take too long, and don't ignore the UX. This is Weber. They sell grills, barbecue grills, and they wanted to run an experiment. So what they did was, they sent a survey to their customers asking them a very simple question: why do you love to grill? And they got these kinds of answers. I like hearing compliments. Really has nothing to do with the grill itself. I love to grill because it allows me to experiment with my creativity. I love to grill because I love to see the happiness it brings. So it's all about the experience actually, and not about the grill. So what they did, they upgraded, or they refined their products. They didn't just sell grills anymore. They added accessories like hats. They added maintenance. They added scent enhancers. They added cooking lessons and all that, just to make sure that the experience is also going in the right direction. And another example, which is the last one, I promise, is BitTorrent. So they had the goal to increase the number of paid users from free users. And what they did was also send a survey to ask them, why are you not upgrading? And the number one answer that they got back was, we didn't know there was an upgrade option. So what they did was just enlarge the call to action button to tell them that there was an upgrade option, which gave them a 92% increase in paid versions. And of course, it's because of the growth process. And thank you very much.